Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Across the Park podcast, and wow, what a special one this is. We're here, the home of Everton FC, still for at least another 7 days. Goodison Park. Such a special episode for us as fans, as friends, to be able to record, and it is quite honestly an honour. We are going now into the final 6 days of us being custodians of this great stadium, if you call it that, because we're going into our last actual game. First of all, Mills, how does that feel to be saying that?
Well, first of all, when we started the podcast in 2018, if you told me we'd be recording here, we made up, so it's a good show. Well done. Well done to you as well. It feels real. I think the summer, when it came in for the AS Roma game and the Brighton game, it felt a bit real there, but naturally you get a bit more accustomed to it's not here yet, yet. Now it's here. The club have announced that after the game of Southampton, they're going to put a stage on the pitch, musical acts, big names, rumoured, legends coming back. I don't think I'm really ready for that, are you?
No, I mean, I don't think I'm probably guilty of not being as caught up in the emotion, as you have, in terms of counting down every game, 5 more games to go for, and it's been nice, by the way, but I'm more of like I'll deal with it when it comes. But
and here we are.
Yeah, here we are now. But it's just going to be such a special day. And the football, to a certain extent, is a bit of a sideshow.
It's secondary.
It's a sideshow.
You want to win, and you want Seamus Coleman to captain the team out. You want things to happen on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more like a checklist than it was something I wanted to ask you. What's in your checklist for your last
Seamus
last
has got
game?
to captain the club.
Yeah.
If he's fit. If Seamus can't do 90 minutes,
does he walk out or does he come on?
No, he walks out.
He walks out.
And I think if he's not fit enough,
he comes off.
He comes off to what an ovation.
Yeah.
Rossi with the Michael Buffer. Show your appreciation to the Everton captain, Seamus Coleman. I think that's a nice moment. I think the 1878 have done from the Gladstone, where you celebrated your marriage to your lovely wife. I think from there to the ground, they want blue to welcome the coach. I think that's special.
That is special.
That's a sight. What are you going to feel like once that car sits?
Oh, the hairs are standing on end now thinking about it. Oh, it's going to be...
the drums.
I know.
And you with your dad.
Yeah.
And it's Goodison.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be arm in arm with my dad, and that'll be a special moment. And we're going to get into, obviously, what Goodison means to you and your memories. But yeah, for me, it's been a journey with my dad. And certainly for the last...
You were raised here? You sat with your dad, but here?
Yeah. The last 20 years, it's been sitting next to him. At times, it'd been my dad pushing me in because he couldn't go himself and walking me up to the ground. At times, it'd been him, taking me and sitting in different parts of the ground. But yeah, standing arm in arm for Z cars. I mean, it'd be a bit of a weird one for us because it's a bit of a running joke in our part of where we sit. We've had loads of
you miss Z cars,
friends. We always miss Z cars. Yeah, we're like that.
Not
running
this weekend,
in.
no.
No, definitely not this weekend, and we have to plan to make sure that happens. And even our last half-time drink. It's just everything's going to be the last one of this.
I'll definitely come over to you for this one.
Yeah, fucking hell, yeah, that's another one. It just never happens. He'll normally buys a drink and gets one for himself.
It's my round at half-time. I never see Judgy. I never go see Judgy.
But yeah, it's going to be, Z cars coming on the side, and which has been a relatively new feature in terms of it.
In terms of Goodison Park,
for Goodison Park, and it's that's became part of it. All of the Everton classic songs that come on before the game, after the game. It's hard to imagine.
They've also said as well, haven't they, in their official comms, that please go down and get a beverage and a bit of food because you can bring them back to your seat for the
That's bosh.
I've never had a pint and a hot dog.
No, that's bosh,
you know
yeah. I remember, like, when I was younger, I say younger, when I was 18, 19, it was like, Oh, sneaking a bottle up to your seat and stuff and having a
People still do that by me now.
cheeky bottle. But I haven't done that for a while because I generally get a pint and it's quite hard to sneak a pint up. But I've done that at Anfield actually.
If you got a pint with your dad on Sunday,
be lovely.
Whilst he's watching the 85 team get embraced.
And that's the good thing about you were talking about this 12 o'clock kickoff, and it's pain in the arse because, for example, I'm going camping at the weekend.
Okay.
So we're leaving Saturday night because there's no way I could drive back on the Sunday morning and risk whatever. But
the post-match.
But then the post-match, it's a long post-match then, and it will be a long post-match.
It will be, yeah. We'll make the most
I wish it was
of
the bank holiday this weekend.
I know. We'll make the most of it, won't we? We'll have a good session to see this lady off.
We will. But yeah, I mean, just before we get into just thanks to Everton. Our relationship as a podcast has grown with the club. I think I'll be the first to say we've done as much for them as they've done for us. But moments like this, as you say, are priceless. And I just want to say a massive thanks to Mo and the team at Everton who've been so gracious, certainly over the last 12 months.
The fan engagement guys have been great with us, especially when it comes to our access to here. We've had access here, so I just mirror what you say there. Thank you for letting me and Judgy as mates come and do this. Yeah,
it's special. So anyway, we're gonna try and go through some questions. And first thing I want to say, because me and Millsy before we came on said this could be a timeless episode. You could be watching this in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 15 years' time. What's just as good about these episodes is the engagement and the comments. So please, if you listen to one of these questions and think, I've got a boss answer for that, please put it below, because anything we say is just going to be a drop in the ocean compared to some of the memories that all of our followers and listeners and watchers have got. So please do that. As always, please subscribe, because your comment gets elevated if you do. But please put your memories in here, because it'll be so special for us looking back.
Easy,
and so special for people who watch this episode back. So just want to say that before we start. So I'm going to try and listen. Some of these questions might have been better going first or whatever, but I'm going to go through it in the order that I think is fitting. First of all, and this doesn't necessarily have to be a football on the pitch thing, favourite moment at Goodison Park?
To limit it to one.
All right, well,
is insulting
it
to
is.
Some of them.
Okay, all right, well,
it's my favourite moments when me and you watched the derby and at the boss night in town. Is it my first time the little boy seeing it?
You're doing it now, yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it the last time I came with my dad?
Yeah.
Is it a goal? For me, it was a Duncan walking off against West Brom in 06. No, my hero is never coming back on. That was
favourite moment, though, is that we're going to ask you, I think, worst moments?
They're the moments I always think.
Yeah.
Like,
back to.
I think if I look at my favourite moments, would probably be the derby victory last season, where the Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Jared Brantwaite scored in a 2-0.
Yeah.
I think for personal reasons, being honest on this podcast, going through a lot at the time. My little boy, Noah, was going through a lot. I picked him up from school that night, and he said he didn't want to go to derby because his friends were saying Liverpool were going to beat Everton 5-0. And I'm going, you're absolutely right, like they could. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, we'll go. And
God, you must have been nervous there, because in a way, do you know what I mean?
But you know what? To watch him, forget about us as parents separating, forget about worrying what house he's in, and to watch Everton and sing Spirits of the Blues at the end, and I was watching them, and I thought, do you know what? I needed this as much as you did.
Yeah.
And I think that moment, for me, I don't think that will ever be topped. Have you got something where you go, maybe there's a few, but what's the first one that springs to mind where you live moments here again?
It's not as special or as emotive as yours, I don't think. I've actually got a bit of a moment which stands out to me, which nobody will remember apart from me and a few of my younger friends.
About, isn't it?
We came. I came here when I was 11 years old with my football team. My friend's late dad, Alan Hopkins, brought us here.
Great, yeah.
Good team. We were a good team. Gaza, one of our friends, was there.
Left back.
And we came to a reserve game. Can't remember who we played, forgive me, but it's irrelevant somewhat. It was a reserve game, Ponton's reserve game.
Ponton's League.
Came on at half time, and we done a keep-up competition. Basically, everyone had to have a go to keep ups. I didn't win, but I remember, right, because I was probably, it might be a surprise to you, but it won't be a surprise to the lads who used to play. I was one of the weaker players in the team at the time. It didn't play. It was a good, very strong team. Didn't play as often, and I was thinking, I might even get like 3. You know, I'm nervous going on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting 17 which is that's my birthday. It's my favourite number. Andrei Kanchelskis was my favourite player at the time. I got 17, and I got 7. I was nowhere near like the worst in terms of the score. But I remember like the ball dropping on like 18. Hey, 17. I was like looking around, going, wow, I've just kicked the ball and under pressure at Goodison. That was a special memory that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
That we're going to go into goals later, but Dan Gosling's goal against Liverpool. Chaos. That's the word. Chaos. It was absolute.
The last kick of the game.
It was, yeah. Van der Meijden come on, whips the ball in, gets knocked back across the box. Oh, wow.
Because it was going to penalties, and you know what happens in that situation.
Yeah.
Everton don't beat Liverpool on penalties.
Exactly. It was absolute chaos. But yeah, I mean, we're going to go into stories later. There's moments at Goodison that stick out for me.
There's so many.
Bringing my daughter here. I brought my son here, but my daughter being my firstborn was a bit more special. That you always dream about.
First scorer, didn't you?
Yeah, we're going to go into that story later. That was definitely something. Forgive me, by the way, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at messages and trying to go through some questions. I'm going to flip that and ask you for your darkest moments or your worst moments.
It wouldn't be an Everton show without talking about being Everton's. There's so many. If I go back to being a kid, I remember being, not so much a kid, I think we were 14, 15. I think when Gary McAllister scored, that was just like, oh, can you have a worse feeling in the football ground than losing like that? And I remember going into Allsop a few days later, and it was like, you shared this experience with me. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was.
It was just horrible. I remember when Wigan beat us here in the FA Cup, and Martinez was the manager. Mm-hmm. I think me and you got ahead of ourselves. We were planning the semi, play some minibuses. We only had Wigan. We were going to play a second team because they tried to survive. And watching them score 3 goals in 6 minutes at the Park End. And we went, I don't have time for the pint. And it was like, that's gone. That dream of us going to Wembley is just gone because of fucking Wigan Athletic. You know what I mean? That was a bad one. There's been a few. It's never nice to watch Liverpool win here. And some of our Liverpool mates who will watch this will probably like this. I think the Gary Mack one is up there with when Sadio Mane scored at the Park End in the 95th minute. There's been other ones. There's been cup losses that have hurt, and I think this season, I think when Bournemouth beat us in the FA Cup, that was a hard one because you come to terms with, okay, FA Cup not happening. You wanted the romance of that happening at Goodison again. So there's a few. There's probably more bad times. But you know what? It's what I tell Noah. It's character building.
Yeah, resilience.
That's it.
One of the worst moments I had, which it was actually followed by one of the best Everton performances I'd seen at Goodison under the lights, was the Fiorentina game when we got beat on pens. The performance that night was absolutely everything you wanted.
It warranted Everton to qualify.
It was a proper night, and obviously a lot of fans will look back at that night, the night that should have been, and it was an unbelievable performance, but losing on pens that night really hurt. And I remember standing in my seat at the end just like that in utter disbelief that we lost that game, because we absolutely battered them through the kitchen.
The decimal points of the noise being,
it was
just deflation.
It was, yeah. We threw the kitchen sink at them that night.
So what I do want to say, just for some older viewers who are watching, and you might be able to bring your dad into it. My dad never got over Everton selling Alan Bull. And, really, when he came back to the Goodison the first season, after Ball was sold, he said, Carter got hammered. Got hammered. And my dad, he was always fixated on, like, they sold Alan Ball. And I know your dad might probably... I've spoke to your dad about Goodison, and he always references the Bayern game.
The Bayern game.
I think we can say it now, I think he got in somehow. It wasn't officially.
Oh, no, I think there were a lot of people that night. The attendance, the actual attendance was not what it was reported, that's for sure.
It wasn't 37,000,
was it? It wasn't, no. But that Bayern night, obviously we weren't fortunate enough to be there, but that goes down certainly in the history books, and one that I think any supporter who was of the age to be able to attend that game references it, doesn't it?
Wasn't even there, but I can... And the 4-4.
The 4-4, yeah.
We were old enough then to watch it.
Yeah, I wasn't here that night,
no,
but
wasn't.
A game again that'll go down in the history books. But yeah, I mean,
have you just to stick on your question about bad times? Now these have ended up good times, but the pre-match build, which is a week long, to Palace at home, Bournemouth at home, Wimbledon at home, Coventry at home, how bad's that? And you come here and you're like, I wouldn't be anywhere but here. How are we in this?
No, that Palace one. That Palace one, I remember me and you being in the Windsor after the game.
Yeah.
I'm just going, I didn't enjoy that.
No.
Like, that was not nice. Like,
2-0 down at half time.
Yeah. That you know what, that could be one of the lowest we've seen. 2-0 down at half time. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, I don't remember that second half that much. I just can't remember. I can't remember being that overjoyed. I was just relieved, and I remember, like, I wasn't in the mood to be going out. I remember the Winslow was bouncing, and
the plastic pints, we were
like,
them.
yeah, we were, but it was more like, you know, after you've just had a really stressful day at work and you're just down a fucking drink, now, thank God that's over.
I remember that second half, I think when Lewin scored to make it 3-2, obviously there's limbs everywhere. I remember looking up, and there was stewards chasing fans off the pitch. The tannoy was going, get off the pitch. There was smoke bombs. I was like, this is a scene. Like,
carnage, yeah.
How's this? What am I involved in?
No.
Then we ended up on the pitch, and then emotions got the better of us, and we jumped on.
Yeah, we did amongst everyone, yeah. But there are times, and again, look, we've got to say, and I think this is only fitting to say, for our generation, despite the memories, despite, as you said before we come on, you know, we've been brought up here. This has been our second home, or our home, if you like. It's not been the stadium or the ground that it should have been for us in terms of the success that this club has seen.
Our dads have brought us here, thinking that normal service resumes, Everton win trophies, and we're the generation that didn't get it.
We are the generation that haven't had it. Obviously, 95 we did, but you know, it's a cup win at Wembley. I mean, the game against Norwich, we beat them 5-0, which we're going to come to later, is my favourite game still, because it was like watching a team that, you know, demolishing another Premier League side at Goodison, that they were a decent side at the time, thinking this is going somewhere, this.
Yeah, and it's just such a shame, isn't it, when you look back at moments like that the build didn't come.
Exactly. Right, a few others then. Your favourite, now, these questions I'm asking you, I want you to try and dig deep in terms of Goodison, you know, and not just, you know, the first name that comes to your head. Think of players who are almost like, you know, captured the imagination of the crowd. Just give the first question away. Your favourite player, Goodison performances, connection with the crowd, connection with this famous stadium.
For me, it's Duncan. It's Duncan as a kid, and it's Duncan as an adult. Duncan was mine. Like, I claimed him. It's not like a cop-out here. I claimed Duncan as my hero. Went into school and said, he's mine. You pick Paul Lyons out. Sam Duncan in footy today. You be Graham Stewart. Such was, like, my first memories of watching Everton were the Wimbledon survival, getting the blue NEC kit, which is such a fantastic kit that summer. That big park end, which camera can't see, being built in '94. And then us being bottom of the league, not winning games by October. And thinking, like, this is terrible. And there was a 98 against Liverpool where he rose like a salmon. Yeah. And the rest is history. That was where he took off. So I can't look past that. And then there was another time where I was a little bit disillusioned. I think it was during the podcast as well. I think Marco Silva, you went to Derby at Anfield, you'll be 5-2. I remember you said to me after he's done, the fans have got him done. And we turned up on a Saturday morning, and Duncan was the caretaker manager.
In a suit, Howard's watching.
Yeah, and you were like, I never saw that. I'm not really up for that. And it was electric, and he was on the pitch.
Yeah, it was.
And he was giving it the gladders and the ball boys. So for me, there's no one comes close to Duncan. Have you got a few or one? Or
I can't beat that. I really can't beat that. I mean, you know, I was favourite players and stuff in terms of players that have lit this stadium up. We haven't seen enough of them in terms, you know, skill and whatever, but you talk about connection to the crowd.
Well, we've never seen Hammers Dodgy.
No, we didn't. I mean,
that would have been a nice.
No, it wasn't really connection to the crowd, but Andrei Kanchelskis, after he got us 2 goals at Anfield, come back to I remember the first home game after it, and the ovation he got coming on, he was just, he embodied that shirt, and he just tore everyone apart, literally after. As soon as he'd scored those 2 goals against Liverpool, came back and
like a rocket went off.
Scored like 18 goals, and I think 14 of them were at Goodison. He was phenomenal. That was just in the league. He was phenomenal last season. He was. Tim Cahill, I mean, for me, probably comes second to Duncan in terms of really capturing the imagination of the crowd and knowing that. I mean, I can look at that pitch now and I can still see him just, throwing tackles in, winning every header, fighting for every ball, grabbing the shirt when he scored, the corner flag celebration. It was all emotion, wasn't it? Everything from him, and I think there was a lot of similarities to Duncan in that way. He always turns up for the derby.
I can't argue with Tim Cahill.
Yeah.
Could not argue with it. I think both of those are like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, Duncan does stand head and shoulders above anyone, literally.
Andre wasn't here long enough for our Blue Hearts to play
you're
that
right.
much.
Yeah, you're right. But I think, Cahill comes second to Duncan for me. You've got players like Leighton Baines, who from a service to the club point of view, Seamus Coleman, fucking hell, like we've in before.
We seen the tail end of Southall and Watson, didn't we, with legends?
Yeah, so Nev, we had the honour of having a night, hosting a night with Nev as well. But yeah, I think you've got to mention Seamus as you did at the start, and we'll probably come back to him as well. Leighton Baines deserves a mention. Dave Watson, as you said, Neville Southall. We're talking players of our generation. Jags,
and you know what? You look back on hindsight, and it's a shame how it ended here for Gary Speed. What a top player he was. And you look back and you go, the circumstances which he left this place was so
horrible.
Weren't needed. And he maintained such dignity,
class.
There's rumours that he actually says, "I'm never going to tell you why," and we now know why, because there's been books and there's been. And we watched. It's linked, but we watched Howard Kendall manage. We've seen Colin Harvey here, and we've been privileged, haven't we, to see a lot of absolute great footballers, great managers.
Yeah.
Like Carlo managed there. It's not how many Carlo Ancelotti, but
still hard to believe. Yeah. It feels like I wouldn't say a bad dream or a bizarre dream, but yeah. So that brings me on perfectly. Your favourite manager, and we're talking connection to the fans, someone who, brought on big performances, again, took the pressure on his shoulders.
David Moyes. Did Roberto Martinez make me dream? Yeah. I think that 13-14 season, I was like, I can't believe we've got a manager who's this good. Didn't last a long time, unfortunately. I couldn't believe we had Carlo. Yeah. I think Carlo did do a good job. I think at the end of his Everton career, I think that February to May period, he was ran into the ground, weren't he? He went. He was using 14. If he'd have got Everton into the Champions League, which we were in the positions for a long time, if he'd have got Everton into the Champions League, you'd say, wow, he's done that. But no, David Moyes. I think if you look at the book, if I take myself back to 2002, how disillusioned me and you were on the coach home from Middlesbrough in the FA Cup when Walter Smith, God rest his soul, done the job in almost impossible circumstances, but it wasn't working. The fans were disillusioned. And then you bring a young manager in from Division 1 at the time, the Championship now, and you get into Europe. And you've got Wayne Rooney, and you've got Tim Cahill, and you've got a striker like Andy Johnson, and then Louis Saha's playing for you. You're like, oh my, you've turned this whole thing around. And in a short period now, he hasn't got the personnel to do that, but you can see what's happening here now. Everton are moving away from a place we don't want to be in. We've been left for a long time, 2 or 3 years. We've been left to survive. Fans have had to drag the team over the line sometimes because there's no money to buy new players. And he's coming in, and you just see the difference.
And it's, it's like, we talk a lot about management and on our podcast, the pundits talk about it all the time, such a big term, because it encompasses not only football, business, everything, life. It's his personality, it's his ability to capture the hearts and minds of people, not just the fans, the players. What he's done in this short period of time, taking over Sean Dyche, raising the expectations of the fans, raising the expectations of the new owners, raising the expectations of the players. The vocabulary the players are using now is like, unheard of compared to what it was 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago.
You look at Sean Dyche, and the worst thing for me, Sean Dyche said, there was that one where he said the run's not that bad if you had wins to it. That was a bit of a comical one. But I remember he ridiculed this a little bit, and I don't think he really meant it, but he just wasn't clever with his words. He said, all I'm hearing about is the old lady. It's not about the old lady. Moyes comes in, and he knows his audience, and he shifts his focus to, this is such a special place, we're going to get over the line, and we're going to get out of style. And similar to the People's Club, quick.
That's it.
And he manages, he's an Everton manager. And it's such a shame you look back, and I do hope this changes. I'd really love him to have a trophy. I'd love to even, I think what he's done deserves that winners medal. Winners medal he's got shouldn't have West Ham on it. Should have Everton on it.
No, an honourable mention for me. Going back to obviously what we were hoping Goodison to be for us, Big Joe Royal.
What a legend. What
again,
a
you
legend.
talk about that goal that Duncan scored at the Garden Street in that derby, the 2-0, when he came in, first game back. I remember on Sky the camera panning to Joe when that goal comes in. He's like that. You know, he's brought the FA Cup here. He then brought forward that team that qualified for Europe. Didn't obviously work out for that team. And
they were great days in coming a match.
They were.
95, 96 were great days at Goodison.
They were, yeah. So yeah, I think Joe deserves
the boss kits with the yellow and blue.
Oh, quality, yeah, that yellow and blue kit. That was going to be.
Boss.
I was in there. Like, is that it? Then I was going to say, what's your favourite kit?
I think that season, I did the home kits. The home kit with the tanker on it and the collar with the blue. Yeah. I used to put the collar under me blue foam ellie jumper, and you'd get away with having the Everton shirts on in school.
Mine was the salmon pink, you know.
That was a good kit.
A couple of years earlier.
That was a good kit.
Limpard, I think I had on that.
I like that. Do you know what? Obviously, as you get older, you stop buying shirts. Well, some people do. I mean, you certainly stop buying shirts. But I remember the Nike one, when Nike got involved, that was a really smart kit. I think it was last Moyes season.
I wasn't into that. I know you mean it was Sahara and that, weren't it? At that kit.
Yeah, like Flaney and Yelovich and stuff. Yeah. I think that was a nice kit, but that yellow and blue one was just phenomenal. They still sell it now on the
Everton shop. They do, yeah. It still does fly off the shelves. Actually, when we played in the fans game a couple of summers ago at Winners, no, I got us the marine kit, and they were like, "Oh, it looks like that yellow and black one, boss."
Straight away, yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Do you remember the black Southall goalie kit?
That was class. So basic, but
NEC black badge.
I remember buying that from Barney's.
Sold an elbow pads on it.
Yeah, the elbow pads. Those goalie kits. I mean, they don't have elbow pads anymore.
The mighty
that
gloves.
shows how bad the pitches were back in the day, and how often you'd be training on concrete. You had to have elbow pads on your goalie kit. Again, for the younger viewers, it's probably not something you're accustomed to, but honestly,
if you're 35 and plus, you'll get it. What we're saying.
Exactly. Right, going to move into more specific territory, I guess now. Favourite goal? You've mentioned some of the goals.
I'll try and I won't revisit what I've... I know it's easy to say what we've just talked about. Again, Carsley against Liverpool has got to be... I just remember they were saying to us, them being our Liverpool mates, like, you haven't played no one yet. We play yous. And that gets in your mind, that does get in your mind. And like Steven Gerrard's playing, and I remember Nigel Martin was having a great game, and then the Carsley scores at the street ends. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to beat them. What this is going to do for me, my relationship with my cop-out mates, now I'm going to be on top. But the same season, remember Duncan scored in the night time against United? 1-0.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant.
And it was like, if you watch the Gladys Street of that goal, it was like someone had released a load of rats in there and everyone was jumping to avoid the rat. It was chaos. No one's feet were on the floor. Went off like a bomb. I'd go with that, you know. I'd go with Duncan.
I'm gonna, you know what? I think when I say this goal, you're gonna be like, oh no way. Cadamarchi against Liverpool, 2-0. He absolutely tore Cavani. Cavani had a bit of a reputation at the time. It was, yeah.
Neil Ruddock as well.
Yeah, he did, yeah. He had the dreadlock, but remember, the Liverpool fans going, Cavani's a good player, you know. He absolutely, literally put him on his ass.
Where did we go with that? He's better than Owen.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We said Cadamarchi is better than Owen. Oh my God, yeah, he cuts in and shimmies, and then just plants it past. David James, I think it was. Past David James.
Probably would have been David James. There's been so many, hasn't there? You touched on there, the Arteta one against Fiorentina. Do you remember the Osborne one against Larissa? How good all that was.
In terms of the quality.
The back heel.
That was brilliant.
Osborne was running like his stride was off and everything. He was trying to get to this like back heel outside of his foot. The Larissa keeper was like, I can't even time for that.
That season we spoke about before, the Joe Royal, following the FA Cup win, the 95-96, there were some great goals in that season. Graham Stewart scored one on the volley into the park end, like a ball over the top, and he watches it, and then it's his first time on the volley over the keeper.
Do you know what? Take the emotion out of it. There's been some great goals that maybe didn't mean a lot. Do you remember McFadden? When he flipped it over the fella's head and volleyed it?
Oh, wow, yeah.
The Charlton defender was like, I didn't even turn up. Yeah, he just dumped me like a kipper.
Yeah.
Andy Johnson's third goal with Ray
Topsy against Liverpool, yeah. Yeah, and he gives it the three fingers.
And he runs to us in the park end, and we're like, we are out.
That was a special day, that as well.
Loads.
But yeah, again, as
there's older fellas shouting at us here, talking about 80s.
As I reiterated at the start, these goals are our memories, that there's going to be loads that we've even missed out. in the era where
Anyone's seen Derek Mountfield score past QPR in 85? If anyone's seen Alan Ball or Big Joe score, please put it in the comments and we'll
get
reply.
it down, exactly, The interaction will be just as special, I think, as this podcast.
Jordan, do you want to say as well, friends of the show, there's a story that when Colin Harvey came back, I think he played with Sheffield Wednesday, and his career was winding down, he had injuries, and we know from when we spoke to Colin and his daughter, Everton fans had a banner saying the White Pele. How special is that?
Yeah.
Like, those things, and we know from Colin and Melanie that that means
so
an
much,
awful lot. Like, the class that this stadium has showed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
the Hillsborough survivors. Sorry, not survivors. The survivors and the families of the victims when we played here in Heavy's My Brother. When they finally got justice, the fight that they had, that was a fight for the city. That wasn't a Liverpool football club fight. That was a fight.
Kenwright, that was something that
Kenwright
he
was
really...
speech he done. Moyes and Martin have done great speeches, but when those families came on and they just got justice,
there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
And here in Heavy's My Brother played.
There wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was special. And I think it is a timely reminder of that. We're obviously standing right now in the away end.
Yes, fully enough.
First
time in here.
It is, Well, we were talking about that. We sat everywhere in the stadium. We haven't sat in here, not for an actual game anyway. But I mean, there's been so many games here where there's been that really intense, rivalry and banter between the away fans and home fans. And I've spoke to loads of away fans this season because we obviously do the away match the opposition preview with the away fans. I also got a lot of fans, friends and colleagues that support other teams. A lot of them are like, I'm so happy we're not going back to that away end. It's a horrendous experience, but
there's that side of it, and the net's there from when we played someone in 2017 a foreign team. Was it Prague or?
It was
and he started launching the bottles, and that's why that was there. So you've got that side. But you've also got the sides as I remember before the Man United game, 2015, the morning that Howard Kendall passed away, and you play Zed Cars, and grown men crying. How just so special. It can be such a powerful place. This
absolutely, and you forget that. Obviously, it is a place where football's played, and you could simplify it and go, oh, listen, you just turn up, whatever. Half an hour before kick-off, you're there for 2 hours. That's special, but people, you talk about with your mates, don't you? I think about the memories you've had in this pub, in this. It's not just football, is it? Like as you said before, you put so well. You've gone through really difficult periods in your life, but the one solid consistency was I'm going to Goodison every other week.
Taking a little boy to watch Everton, and that's this wasn't here, wouldn't have that. Yeah. This being here makes things better. Yeah.
No, well put. Few more, and they're going to get, I guess, a little bit more emotional as well. I'll start with a bit more of a light-hearted one. Your favourite, what's your match day ritual and routine, and how is this going to change?
It's the opposite to yours.
I know it is,
I go out before it, and you go out after it. You can talk about yours, but I'll get my little boy. My little boy plays football training on a Saturday morning, so it's a 3 o'clock kick-off. We'll do that, come back, bit of food, and then we'll typically head the ground for 1 o'clock. Meet a few people. He wants to come in and watch the warm-ups. So give him his hot dog. I'll have a bottle of cider downstairs, and then we come in, and then we do the instant match reaction. You try and get me to stay out when I say no, and off the night you go. But I get the bus. I'm about a mile and a half. It sounds lazy. My little boy loves to get the bus. We get the bus down. We get here early enough to be here, and then we're in the grounds early, and then we don't do no Winslow discos no more, which I think is something that you still tend to like to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, the kinds of pre-match, post-match stuff has changed down the years for me. So when I first started going, it was like, as you said before, it was my, getting to the ground, whether it was with my dad or when I got my first season ticket when I was 10 up in the top balcony. My dad would walk me up the ground, or my mum or my uncle, get me in the turnstile. Up I'd go, and then they'd meet me after it. And that would be getting in really early. Well, I used to love watching the warm-ups, so I get that. Reading the programme from front to back, eating me sweets or whatever. And then, but then as I've got older, obviously, I think like pubs have become part of that, that routine. The Royal Oaks used to be our kinds of stomping ground. Louis, who will be watching this at some point, his dad and my dad, Pat, God rest his soul, amazing person, someone who we're definitely going to pay tribute to on Sunday. We used to go to the Royal Oak, Kev and Stu and Dennis, and there was a big group of us, and we used to command this side of the bar where they used to wash the glasses. Anyone who knows the Royal Oak or knew it for a long time ago, there's this area where the glasses are washed, and it literally said on there, nobody gets served here, but we got served there. So people would come over and lean on the bar, and you'd have to go, we can't get served here, mate, but they would serve us.
Yeah,
so we were there for a good 10, 15 years, and then, I don't know when it happened, but we kind of moved away from there, and now our routine is I'll normally drive to my dad's. It's normally on the late side because I have a lot of stuff going on a Saturday morning and early afternoon with my kids. So get to my dad's around 2 o'clock-ish. Go to the Barlows, the dark house, as many will call it now. Squeeze in as many as we can before we just leg it up at like 2:45, and then get in the ground, as I said, as a joke before, just after Z cars, maybe even later sometimes. But then,
you like to have a pint after the match and talk about it, don't you? And
yeah, we always go back to the dark house, yeah, and we'll have a good few pints in there. And Kev is always there nowadays, and my dad as well, and Callum, Louis when he's up is there, and yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy, as you say, therapy.
I done a podcast with you a few years back, and I was ranting over something, and you were just like calm. I remember saying to you after, like, fucking hell, I did give and take there, and you went, I done all that on Saturday night in the dark house. I got it out of my system.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I wasn't angry anymore. I had a few pints and I got it out of my system. I was
that's
sitting there at home watching like Saturday Night Takeaway, stewing for our podcast on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come on to WhatsApp at about 7 o'clock, and Millsy's raging, still absolutely fuming. I'm like, oh, forget about it. It's fine. And,
How are you fine?
That works for me. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't work so well. But yeah. So just on the back of that then, your ritual's going to change going to Bramley. I don't want to make this too much of Bramley Moor.
Yeah, have to.
What are the bits then? Say if you can just pick something up from Goodison, take it to Bramley Moor, what would it be? Can we take one thing?
Transport links. No, that's too political.
Don't be bringing it
political. Yeah. Do you know what? I'd love to stay with the people who sit by me who I don't know their names.
Oh, really?
Do you know that you're okay? I was having little cheeky little boys head.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Like,
you know what? That's a really good point. That, yeah.
I don't know where they're sitting.
No, that's like that's been a really strange one, because we know, and this is a sticking point, so I'm not going to get into it, how hard it's been to try and get your mates to sit next to you, let alone people who are around you. And we've had like, oh, where are you sitting, blah blah blah. And it's funny that a lot of the people by me have tried to mimic where we are now in the new stadium, whether it's South Stand, North Stand, whatever. So a lot of them are behind the goal in a similar position, but there's some people I'm more than happy to be sitting away from, by the way. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's others who I'm going to miss. Like, as you say, those faces, friendly faces, you walk in and...
You co-commentate the game with them.
You do, yeah.
And now you're going to have to find someone else to...
Fellas behind me, top fellas, like 4 or 5 of them. And again, they've seen my, as you said, they've seen my kids grow up. Like, size of it now.
Pass the sweet
to mate, yeah. Oh, great. And yeah, you're right. I think that's a really good point. That
the people are going to make Bramley Moor, like this is everything, but the people make it.
Takes it a while to get that.
The environment is going to change, isn't it? I know it's for the best, but that's what I'd like my block to go as a block.
It's a really good point. I wish I could take, not necessarily I wish I could take that type of pub, put it to where it is relative to the ground, and still have that, because it's not as busy as some of the bigger pubs around here. There's our house and obviously the Black Horse, and I'm gutted for the Black Horse, and I hope that it still forms part of people's matchday routine.
I think it will.
I know they're talking about it now. Obviously the wins are going to have.
Guildford project, they're going to do coaches down and stuff, and we'll probably maybe do something on the summer, won't we?
Yeah, but yeah, it's that's another thing as well. It's going to be, I think, bring a tears to the eye thinking about all that changing. I've kind of covered a couple of questions in one there. Yeah, I think the last one, and this is a big question. You've answered it in spades throughout the podcast. What does Goodison mean to you?
It's home, isn't it? It is. It's home. It's like it's where you got like. It's where you go. All the time to feel happy, and even when it makes you sad, you go back. If you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner who didn't make you happy, you wouldn't go back. Yet we come back here. Such is the connection. You know, we don't do no work on it, we don't paint it, we don't make it better, we try and be loud and things, but I think when it comes to when I was younger and Everton were at home on a Saturday, that would be an exciting thing for me, like, to go with my dad, and then as we got older, to go with as mates. We worked so many times to watch my little boy, and hopefully my little girl's 3 now, so when she is old enough and she gets off that 60,000 seater waiting list and gets a ticket, but it's become a place that means so much to my life. Like, it's not, some fans can have a casual fan, or you can have a fan who maybe comes and goes, and that's absolutely fine. There's no problem with that. But when it comes to an Everton home game, for me, you know what? Let's get in there, and I'm going to meet Judgy. I'm going to see Gaza. Little boy's going to get his own memories. I'm going to get my memories. So many memories. And I know we're going to end the show on the book that we've done, but yeah, when I think about it, I think about my dad and my little boy, and I think about mates. And there's not many places that combine that. There's not many places that combine all of that. A restaurant doesn't. A pub doesn't. A house doesn't. Your football club does. Your football stadium does.
I really like that. Can't put that any best. I think my comparison to it is it's like your nan and granddad's. So, you know, what I mean is, like, you're obviously not there all the time. You don't live there, but you know every time you go there, you feel at home. You know it's got that feel to it. Maybe stinks a little bit sometimes. It's maybe not, you know, the best furnished place in the world, but you know what you get when you get there. It's got a different feel to it. It's got a warm feeling. And I think with your nan and granddads, and I think everyone will relate to this in some way, shape or form. It's where you see people that you don't see anywhere else. Like, your cousins are there that you never see, you know, and apart from it, your nan and granddads, you know, you eat food there that I wouldn't be drinking or eating some of the foods I eat here, but I do, because it's Goodison, because it's my nan and granddad. Like, that's what we do here. I just think it's got a different, it's got an authenticity about it, and it's got something that you can't replicate. I think you can replicate the feeling, the warmth, the atmosphere in your nan and granddad's. As I say, it's special. And when it goes, like, when you're unfortunate, and you've been through it, I've been through it, most people who are watching this have been through it, when you lose your grandparents, a lot of that goes and you cannot replicate it. No. You say, oh yeah, we'll meet at a family party. You don't, you know, we'll do something else. You just don't. That regularity of that feeling just goes away.
That's what we're going to go through next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to go through, okay, this is...
We've lost that. We you know, we're moving out, they're moving out. We'll go somewhere else now on this Saturday. We've got to try our best to make new memories and make that special, but it'll never be the same.
No, well put.
So listen, as Millsy just said before, we were fortunate enough to contribute to a book not so long ago.
The Leaving of Goodison Park, a really good book, isn't it? Like, how privileged we that gets us to.
That's it, and if you've enjoyed this, by the way, this podcast, this video, and there's plenty of other outlets who've done similar. This is a great book to have, because it's like this, but there's hundreds in there, hundreds of stories.
They're going to be selling it at the programme store by the statue on Sunday, and also St Luke's. Yeah,
and it's a top book. But we each put a couple of stories in there. I'm going to ask you, Millsy, to talk about one of yours first, and I'll do the same for me.
It's a privilege to write for it, privilege to be asked. My story for the book about Goodison and what it means is, like I said, the 1994 Duncan Ferguson goal, where I explained earlier on, that's mine now, is my hero. For the rest of my life, there'll be no one. Because we've not had that many great nights here, really, in football results terms. That was always, like, up to last year, that was still my greatest moment. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm 39. And when I was 9, that's still my best moment. And it was your best moment because I was with my dad. And to watch him go through the anxiety of a Merseyside derby and taking me and thinking he's going to ruin my night because Liverpool were top of the league, and to watch the joy on his face when Everton won 2-0, that always stuck with me. And I was like, that's the best night. My dad died in 2016, and a few days before he died, and I was sitting in the hospital and watching Everton home game against Arsenal with him, and I was like, oh, like, this Goodison is like, it's such me and him. Like, thank you so much. And then the derby last season, I touched upon before, I brought Noah, my little lad. I didn't need a bad night. He didn't need a bad night. And I had the anxiety of giving him a bad night. and watching him go through the whole, okay, let's get behind Everton, let's roar them on, let's hope that we beat Liverpool, let's just hope that we can do it. And his little part in that, to watch that was amazing. And at full time they put, I guess that's why they call it the Blues on. And he was on me shoulders walking to the park ends. And for what he was going through at the time, to see him and for him to give me that, I felt me dad. I was like, that Merseyside derby win that I never thought would be bettered in 1994 has just been bettered. And you used to have never met each other. But I know you're here, you're at Goodison and you're with me little boy. And for me, like Goodison, as my dad never met me little boy, they came together. Sounds weird, and some people will be going, oh, I don't believe in all that, and that's fine. But I felt it, and I felt it here.
The feelings are more important than that. That's special, mate. Again, I don't think mine comes close to that level of emotion. It was 2019, and it was Arabella's first proper game. Now, she'd been to earlier games. Arabella's my firstborn, and you know, I'd done the thing of, you know, bringing her in and carrying her in and all that. But she was at an age where she could walk. She wanted to go to the match. She had a shirt on, with bananas on the back, so that takes you back. We're playing Watford at the time. It was August, just after my birthday it was, and went to my dad's. As I said, the routine was turns up at my dad's. My dad sits next to me. Both walked up the ground, and the first little moment on that day, which was special, is seeing my dad like walking up, holding her hands. Amazing, and then she goes on the shoulders, and I took a few pictures from behind and stuff. Then she went onto my shoulders, and I'm walking up, and we're just chatting, and she's there, and she's buzzing. She's really looking forward to coming in. And I think we got up to the, you know, the park end and everything. Walked in, and we just before we go, he's like, she goes, I go, yeah, do you want to put a bet on, like pick a score? And she goes,
pick Bernard.
I picked Bernard, and I said to her at that point, because I put Bernard in a shirt with us. Why Bernard? Because he's an elf. Just the innocence of, because he's an elf.
Of a little girl.
Anyway, the game ends 1-0. Bernard scores the only goal, the winning goal. The game ends with again, me, you know, Arabella on my shoulder. She went through the whole game without moaning that day. We ended the game, you know, arms around my dad. My dad's we've got loads of pictures from that day. And you grow up after you've gone through your childhood and you become an adult, and as all the days of going to away games, your next thing is, can't wait to bring my kid the match.
Boss.
And that was it. It was everything that I wanted it to be that day. It was special. It was great for her. It was great for us. She had her face painted a lot. And yeah, she appreciated it. And that for me is something I'll take to the grave.
So special that, you know, to take your little girl to the match and watch her enjoy it. Yeah. And to do it here.
Exactly.
Didn't do it at Anfield, didn't do it anywhere else, done at Goodison Park.
And in true Everton fashion, we took it right to the wire here. We took it right to the wire.
That's a half four, we're almost a half four.
But listen, it's been an honour. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We're all looking forward now to the magical day on, you know, sad day, but magical day on Sunday. On behalf of Across the Park podcast, on behalf of Everton, please make the most of the day. Please enjoy it. Please, you know, spectate in the spirit that's intended. You know, the club have made a lot of efforts to make this day special for us. So let's play our part.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's here.
It's here.
It's not going to be the same, no matter what they do with it. The Rangers are going to do something with it, great, but it's not going to be this.
No, it's not. But listen, as I've said before, I've said many times in this podcast, please let us know your memories. Please share your stories. We'd love to bring a collection of those together at some point. But yeah, as always, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honour. And up the toffees.